So, what is a reverse diet and why am I going through one if I haven't competed yet? Okay, so a reverse diet is exactly what it actually sounds like. It's the reverse of a diet. So a diet, you are gradually decreasing calories. In a reverse diet, you are gradually increasing calories. And you're gradually increasing them to minimize fat gain while you add back in calories to your diet after being in a deficit for so long. So, why am I doing a reverse diet if I've never competed before? And my intention is to compete. Okay, so let me tell you guys a little bit of a backstory. So, when I first started lifting weights and working out, I knew almost nothing about nutrition. I didn't grow up in a household where my parents were like, you have to eat breakfast, you have to eat a small meal after that, you have to eat lunch, you have to eat a small meal again, you have to eat dinner. I grew up in a household where you would skip breakfast, lunch was kind of up in the air, and then you'd have a really, really good dinner. Well, you guys do the math, how many calories does that add up to at the end of the day, plus exercise? And something was a bit off. So when I got into weightlifting, I did a lot of plyometric work. I did a lot of weightlifting. I did a lot of, I was never a cardio person. I always kind of hated cardio, but I would do HIIT sprints and I would do fasted cardios. Like I said, I didn't really eat breakfast. I didn't understand how eating breakfast properly fuels you for the day, and it kind of kicks your metabolism into gear. I basically treated my body like crap, essentially. Like, I treated it like crap. Like the saying goes that you can't outwork a bad diet. Well, you can't outwork your diet, period. I mean, you have to fuel it properly, but you also have to fuel it enough. And I've kind of learned that one the hard way. So as the years kept going and I started to get more and more into weightlifting and more into the gym and fitness and loving the way it made me feel, I created Recipes for Disaster. So I would skip my meals and I would work out too much, and I basically threw my body into a state of starvation, essentially. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, starvation mode isn't real, and our bodies aren't prone to do that. And I can tell you firsthand, my body went through it. And at one point I thought I was going crazy. I got so sick. I saw stomach doctors, I saw family doctors, I saw a bunch of different people who I hoped could help me and kind of figure out what the heck was going on, and none of these doctors could figure it out. The best advice I had from one doctor was go on an elimination diet. So I started to do that, but then I also started to do some research of my own, and that led me to a forum. And in the forum, the guy was speaking about symptoms of almost anorexia, essentially. And I was like, well, I'm not anorexic. Like, I don't have the symptoms of, I didn't have the symptoms of anorexia, basically. I didn't look like an anorexic. Sorry, anybody who I'm offending, I don't know. So I started reading the symptoms of anorexia, and almost every single symptom and things that happen matched kind of what I was going through. So that led me to Layne Norton's video on metabolic adaptation. Very, very knowledgeable, and I'll put the link in my bio below. At the time, reverse dieting was a very new concept, and it was kind of only known in the bodybuilding realm. So I didn't really quite understand reverse dieting yet. So what I did understand, and I knew, is how I didn't know yet, I figured out how to calculate my BMR, which is my basal metabolic rate. And my basal metabolic rate is how many calories my body burns if I was literally gonna be a vegetable all day long, if I was gonna lay in bed and not do anything. It's how many calories your body needs just to survive and function properly. So then after I came up with my BMR, I calculated my TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. So that is how many calories you burn throughout the day just doing your normal like routine basically. So like going to the bathroom, brushing your teeth, doing stuff like that, like walking a dog. That does not count for the calories that you're burning while working out. So I started to do those calculations and I realized how many calories my body needed and how many, and I actually started to wear a heart rate monitor as well. And I would monitor my heart rate and kind of track how many calories I was burning in a training session in the gym. And it was way, way more than I actually thought it was. So I started to do those calculations and I started to track on average how many calories I was burning a day. Then I started to track how many calories I was taking in, which is my food consumption a day. And I did that for about 2 weeks. And on average, I probably took in, and this was before subtracting exercise from it, I probably took in about 600 to 1,000 calories average. That's really, really bad. So what your body does is it down regulates everything. So it'll drop your basal metabolic rate. Our bodies need calories in order to properly function. So think of calories as energy. So your body needs energy to properly function, right? It needs energy to run your heart. It needs energy for your food to digest. It needs energy to pump your lungs. It needs energy to do literally everything. It needs energies for your organelles, for your vital organs, everything. But when your body isn't getting the energy that it needs just to do those basic things, what it does is it downregulates every single thing. So with that, your metabolism comes down. And in my case, I've been in actually this state of a downregulated metabolism and downregulated literally everything for so long that my body doesn't understand when I'm giving it food. So in my case, when I first figured out that I wasn't eating enough to fuel my body and fuel my workouts, what I did is that I just kind of jumped calories really quickly. So I'm gonna use myself as an example, and my BMR is 1460. And I told you guys how much I was eating before. So I wasn't even eating anywhere close to how much my body needed just to stay alive. So once I figured that out, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna jump from about 1,000 calories up to 1460, and then I'm gonna eat even more because I know that I need food to fuel my workouts as well. Well, that did not go very well, because what my body did is said, okay, great, now we're getting enough food in, but we don't really know when the next time you're gonna do this is, so we're gonna hold on to everything. And we're not gonna release the fat, and we're not gonna let you drop weight, and because we're afraid of you putting us basically into starvation again. So I was at a point for years that my body was fighting so hard against me to keep everything that I was putting into it. And once I started figuring out nutrition, that was still healthy food that I was putting in. But I always kind of get stuck in this, and I did, and I still do, I get stuck in this place where it's so easy for me to skip meals and to not remember to eat, or just say, yeah, I'm not really hungry, I'll eat later. What my metabolism does, again, it just keeps down regulating. It'll go up a little bit and then it'll say, hey, you're starting to skip meals again and we don't really know when you're getting food, so we're gonna down regulate the metabolism again. And right now, this is my third attempt on a reverse diet. I failed miserably my first 2 attempts because I would get to about the calories that I am right now, which is 1460, and I feel very, very uncomfortable at this calorie amount. And uncomfortable being that I feel very full, I feel like I'm pushing food. And the first 2 times, I'll be really honest with you guys, I think that mentally I wasn't ready for it. I didn't accept my body the way it was. I still wasn't feeling good about myself. I struggled a lot with just thinking that I'm not good enough and not really thinking highly of myself and not being able to accept how I was. And I think where I am right now in my life, my mentality is so different from even a year ago. Right now where I am, I'm able to put myself through this. I'm able to be okay to step on stage. But putting myself through a reverse diet also helps me in the long run. It helps me it helps in a way for my body to be more efficient at being able to lose weight. So my goal actually is to push myself up to about 1800 calories depending on how I feel at that point, and my TDE actually is 2000 calories. So I would love to push myself past 2000, but right now I'm just kind of taking it a week at a time. So my goal is to push to about 1800, seeing how I feel, and then possibly doing a mini cut, and a mini cut is taking away 250 calories, seeing how my body reacts to that, staying on that for a little bit, and then seeing if I'm going to push calories again. And hopefully this will prime my body to be able to burn fat. It upgrades my metabolism, and it makes my body just way more efficient at functioning and being able to use all of the food that it's taking in efficiently and letting it fuel what it's supposed to be, instead of my body going into a catabolic state all the time and trying to eat the muscle that I'm actually putting on. I believe once you're in that catabolic state, once your body's been in it, it's kind of a lot easier to slip right back into it. And the same as metabolic adaptation. Once your body has been in it for a prolonged period of time, such as mine, which is 7-8 years probably, it's a lot easier to slip back into old habits, and a lot easier for me to be like, I'm gonna skip breakfast, I'm not really hungry. Things that I wanted to touch on really quick that I've been doing regarding my workout, like I said before, I've never been a cardio person. I've always kind of gravitated towards HIIT, but I was definitely, as my boyfriend likes to call it, a jumping around person, and he's referring to plyometrics. So pertaining to my workout regimen, what I've been doing since starting the reverse, I cut out pretty much all plyometrics, and I only do HIIT sprinting about 3 to 4 times a week, and I do it for about 5 to 10 rounds. And I also am lifting compound movements and heavy weight for my size, because I want to try to keep as much muscle as possible while I'm going through this. So my protein is also pretty high. I don't always hit it, but I try to keep the protein levels higher so my body doesn't go back into that catabolic state I was talking about earlier. So anybody going through something similar, or your weight has stalled and you're eating little amounts of calories, I would definitely suggest going through a reverse diet period. But a reverse diet is different for everybody. Everybody's body reacts differently to it. We are not all the same in any way, shape, or form. This is the approach that is correct for me. A reverse diet might not be for everybody, and I also want to reiterate that in order to do a reverse diet, it takes a lot of mental strength. So if you're not completely okay with how you look and you struggle with seeing that number on the scale go up, I definitely would not recommend a reverse diet for you at this point. Be smart about how you go about dieting and even how you reverse diet. Once you decide that you want to lose weight, don't just recklessly slash calories from your diet. Do it the correct way. Thank you so much, guys. I hope this helped. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. It is Lauren Ann Fit over there. I share my workouts with you guys. I do stories often, and you get to see kind of my friends and my boyfriend, how he tortures me all the time. Again, I really hope this helps somebody, because what you're going through, you're not crazy, you're not alone, you can get through it, you just have to kind of push. And there is people who understand what you're going through. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And also leave me a comment below, because I would love to know what you guys thought. And if you're going through the same thing, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you.